Hi, this is Jen Rubin, editor-in-chief of The Contrarian. We are delighted to have back our friend, Representative Jamie Raskin. Welcome, Congressman.
I am delighted to be with you, Jen.
So, you are a legal hand. How weird is it that the Deputy Attorney General would meet with a woman serving a 20-year sentence for sex crimes at the same time that we learn from the Wall Street Journal documents relating to that nexus of crimes mentions Donald Trump? Is that weird?
It's quite a coincidence. Another part of the coincidence is that he was Donald Trump's lawyer, personal lawyer, before he went to the Department of Justice. So may even have some familiarity, some background familiarity with the whole case. Look, the whole thing just smells worse and worse every day. And it's become clear Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, according to Epstein's own multiple representations to people. He clearly knew exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was up to, as he joked about how he shared his fondness for beautiful women, except his were somewhat younger than Donald Trump's. And yesterday, Michael Wolff, the Trump biographer, told Sid Blumenthal on his podcast that he'd been told by Epstein that Donald Trump, I guess they got into a big feud over property, and he thinks Donald Trump was the person who called the FBI and dropped a dime on him. In other words, Donald Trump knew exactly what was going on there, and at least Epstein suspected that he was the one who had called the FBI. Whether or not that means he did call the FBI in order to, I don't know, edge him out of that competition for a House, it indicates that Epstein certainly knew and believed that Donald Trump knew everything that Epstein was up to if Trump wasn't directly involved himself.
This is not the first time, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein and Trump have been mentioned. We had terrific reporting from the Miami Herald years ago that revealed the connection with Donald Trump. What has changed among your Republican colleagues that a few of them actually went along with a motion to release some of these files? Are they running scared now, or are they going to just keep covering and covering for Donald Trump?
Well, there's a moment when every member of a religious cult wakes up on the basement floor after hearing tapes all night and realizes that their savior may indeed be a false prophet. And Donald Trump has this unusual habit of always returning to the scene of the crime. I mean, just yesterday, they announced they wanted to have another House Select Committee on January 6th to investigate the January 6th Select Committee, to which I replied, fantastic, because there are a lot of police officers who would love to come in and testify about their permanent disabilities and disfiguring injuries and the fact that they've had to leave their jobs, and a lot more stuff has come out. And we've got everything that all the Republicans said at the time when they called it terrorism and un-American and inexcusable and unacceptable. And they're singing a different tune now, but that's just cult followers who've sort of slinked back into the fold and become sycophants again. So they want to do that, they can do that. But in any event, he always goes back to the crime. And I think, you know how he has a habit of projection. He likes to, when he feels guilty about something, he likes to project his guilt onto someone else. And so this is why he's been talking about Epstein for all of these years and months, and Bill Clinton and this person and that person, and the power elite is implicated. It's him. He's pointing the finger at himself.
And now he's wanting to investigate President Obama for treasonous behavior. What is this latest cockamamie idea about?
I didn't spend much time on that one yesterday, Jen. You know why? Because sometimes he forgets his prior scams, and he got the right-wing Supreme Court to, out of thin air, create a new doctrine of former presidential immunity. So I cannot believe that President Obama committed any crimes, any felonies in office of any sort at all. But in any event, it's irrelevant. You don't even get up to the plate, because Donald Trump has basically mooted the whole thing out.
It is fairly remarkable. There obviously are two very, very serious things going on. One is the complete corruption of the Justice Department that is refusing to release documents that frankly may be beyond embarrassing for the President of the United States, and that the former private attorney of the president is going to talk to one of the primary figures. And the other, of course, is the young women who were victimized by these people. And aside from Jeffrey Epstein, maybe a little bit of Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, the identities of these people and the people who facilitated this, the people who participated, have never really come to light. How is it that in a democracy with a transparent or supposedly transparent court system, they have avoided any kind of accountability for this long?
Well, I mean, I've got two answers for you on that one, Jen. One is this cover-up began immediately. Of course, Epstein was doing everything in his power to wrap this in subterfuge and misdirection and confusion. He's had an army of lawyers. And it was Donald Trump's later Secretary of Labor, Alex
Yes.
Acosta, who was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who gave them the sweetest of all sweetheart contract deals of all time. I mean, this was really the plea bargain of all time. They had a 60-count federal child sex abuse conspiracy indictment waiting to be taken into a grand jury, and they threw all of it away and settled with Epstein's lawyers, including Alan Dershowitz, for one state count of solicitation to prostitution, not even mentioning the child sex abuse dimension, the conspiracy. All of that stuff's out the window. They then allowed him to plea out on that. Also in that agreement was several of his associates in the conspiracy would be shielded from any criminal prosecution. And then he got to spend the days as a free man doing what he wanted to do. And he just had to come and spend the night at the county jail, where they set him up in a, nice little hotel room equivalent. Okay, that was Republican justice back in 2003, I believe it was, when it all started. And then when
2007. Yeah, go ahead.
When Acosta became the Secretary of Labor, we tried to get the information out. He ended up resigning rather than opening up the whole Pandora's box. But I guess the first answer I've got to your question is, like, the system doesn't work if we have a double-tiered system of justice, and one for the rich and powerful and one for everybody else. So that's one part. But the other part of it is these sex abuse scandals take a long time to come out because they're enveloped in so much shame, so much embarrassment, and people, I mean, a 14-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl is not gonna, but these are now young women, they're grown women who are coming out and speaking about what happened to them. But, I recommend to you, if you haven't seen it already, this remarkable documentary that just came out called Surviving Ohio State, about the wrestling team doctor who for more than 2 decades was raping and sexually assaulting not just wrestlers, but tennis players, soccer players, football players. It was the women's coach of the men's tennis team who was the one who really blew the whistle on it and tried to insist that Ohio State do something about it. But the other heroes were the women athletes who were the victims in another sex abuse scandal in Michigan State, who came forward. And these male athletes said that they began to talk amongst themselves and say, if these women can come forward at Michigan State, how come we can't do it? But they talked a lot about the shame of being a male victim of sexual abuse and then having, the university turn a blind eye.
It is horrifying. So your Republican colleagues scampered out of town, leaving their work behind them rather than continue to kind of face the music. What happens when you guys return? You're on the House Judiciary Committee. Are there going to be hearings? Are there going to be what plays out now?
Well, we've demanded hearings. I sent a letter with every Democrat on the Judiciary Committee to Chairman Jordan, saying that we needed to call in the Attorney General Bondi, we need to call in FBI Director Patel. They needed to bring all the materials with them and release the file, and then for us to have a hearing. I've not gotten a direct response, but Chairman Jordan has said on TV in response to questions about it that they would be bringing in the Attorney General and the FBI Director in a matter of course. Then later, I think he said they would do it in September, and I hope that that's for real and we can hold them to that. They may want her in here on just general testimony, but of course, this is going to have to be the heart of it, and she should come and testify for as long as it takes, because there really is a bipartisan consensus that this should not be swept under the rug. But for the next 6 weeks, we're on a Jeffrey Epstein summer vacation. I mean, that's what they're like, get out of here. It's a Jeffrey Epstein recess time. They're trying to figure out whether this thing will go away, which I don't think it will. And if not, what they should do to respond, because nobody was more adamant than Donald Trump that these files be released to the public. What has changed?
Right. Well, one thing that might change that I'm sure you're going to ask the Attorney General is that apparently she informed, according to the Wall Street Journal, she informed the president that his name appears in the documents. And subsequently, we haven't seen release of the documents. That's extraordinary.
Well, here's how they know that he's in there. She assigned more than 1,000 FBI agents to be working through the night. So these were continuous 24-hour shifts. They would bring one team out and bring another team in, and they were looking for Donald Trump's name. They were instructed to notify her and the leadership whenever Donald Trump's name appeared, either in an email, a phone call, a letter, testimony, a video, a photograph, his name or his likeness or his image. And then that was when they made the report to the White House, and then the president announced that no, nothing to see here.
Well, it would seem that there are then a lot of witnesses and potential whistleblowers, and it would seem that someone is talking to the Wall Street Journal. So perhaps we're going to learn more as you guys are out on recess. Thank you for coming to chat with us about this. I am sure that you're going to stay on this. And maybe for once, Republicans will show a little bit of independence, a little bit of spine,
Well,
because they just can't take the heat.
I mean, they really are. I mean, this is
Yeah.
politically the surprising thing. I mean, it wasn't throwing 17 million people off of their Medicaid health care. It wasn't throwing tens of millions of people off of their SNAP food benefits. It wasn't a $400 million grift gift from Qatar in an airplane. It wasn't, adding $4 trillion to the debt or waging trade war against the world. Like, none of that. But this, because Trump was all in and totally invested in it, this has really woken MAGA up. And I can guarantee you from the conversations I've had with my colleagues, they are not letting it go. They're not letting it go.
Well, that is finally some good news, not because we take joy in reliving this horror, but because at some point, as you say, the cult breaks and the God bleeds, and they're going to have to face the music. So thank you as always, Congressman. We'll look forward to next time. Take care.
Congratulations. Best to you.
Bye-bye.